All right, this is green ash. And if, again, let's remember our opposite trees. Mad, maple, ash, dogwood. So we know it's going to be opposite. But in this case, it's a little peculiar in that this is our first example of a compound leaf. And what a compound leaf is, so you can see the twig here. We have a leaf coming out here and a leaf coming out here. It's very common for people to come in with this and say, hey, what kind of leaf is this? And that's not the leaf. This entire structure here is one leaf. That's a compound leaf. And to review how we know where the leaf is, at the base of every leaf, there's going to be a bud. At the base of these little, what are called leaflets, there's no bud. So then you have to trace it, you have to keep going back until you find the bud. Then you know everything above that is a compound leaf. Now, alternately, you could wait to see what falls off in November, but that would be a long wait. This whole thing's going to come on the ground. And in fact, all the little leaflets are going to come off, and these are going to be all over the ground. And then this part is going to be all over the ground. This central part here that had the leaflets is called the rachis, and you'll find these laying on the ground. Literally, from last year, here's some laying on the ground from a year ago. So you can look for these laying on the ground later in the year, and you at least know, hey, there's a tree with a compound leaf somewhere when you see this. And then it also tells you, okay, about how long was that leaf. Some rachis are like this long. Some might, we're going to do a tree that they're this long. And when they're that long, that eliminates a lot of things. So this is the first example of a compound leaf. So to identify an ash, it's opposite. Yes, we have a compound leaf. That's going to narrow it down just about to ash. And then later, we're going to learn box elder maple, which is also called ash leaf maple. That'll be another one that's similar, but compound opposite, you've narrowed it down just about to an ash is what I'm saying. There's a few other things. Something else we haven't talked about is our twigs. Ash has what is known as a stout twig. This is a 1-year-old twig, and that's pretty fat. The dogwood and the beech we did are slender to moderate in diameter. So ash has one of our largest or widest twigs. So opposite with a wide twig is also suggestive of being an ash. And then they also have a very large prominent bud. We looked at the long thorn-like buds on a beech. Ash, it's not long, but it's got prominent scales that literally look like brown leather from a boot, like boot leather, suede almost. So a large bud scales look like they're made out of leather. Opposite, also suggesting that you've got an ash in your hand. Now here's an example of what bark does. So here's this limb would be what a young ash would look like. That's smooth. This is now transitioning, starting to break up into some ridges, some furrows, and here's a more mature ash, and they're kind of known for having a very uniform, distinct weave, almost like a fishnet, back and forth. It forms little diamond shapes, little football patterns, however you'd like to describe it. But you've got ridges, furrows, and they weave, forming a net or little football diamond patterns in it. So what? We've seen beech completely smooth, dogwood blocky, and now we've got another pattern. Notice pretty much gray that forms a weave back and forth and ridges and furrowed patterns to it. Okay, now here are a couple ash fruits that fell to the ground. This is called a samara, or a winged seed. You all may be familiar with helicopters that maples get. That's a winged seed, that's a samara. This is the same type of fruit in ash, but in the case of ash, it's straight. Doesn't have any hook to it like the helicopter shape you may be thinking of in a maple. It's got a flat blade, and then the seed The business end is down here, the seed. I like to describe it as kind of like a canoe paddle with the handle's been broken off. And that's your blade that you'd be putting in the water. And there's the stick, or what remains of the paddle. And those are flying seeds. And that's how they would get around. But the thing on ash, you think it's a straight, flat samara. Think canoe paddle, because we're going to get other winged seeds, and they have different shapes, curves. Some curve up that way. So this is all very planar, two-dimensional in ash. Ash is also very common and native. All three of our trees so far are. I see a lot of ash in the woods. There's quite a big problem now with ash. Emerald ash borer, an invasive insect that's come in, has got a lot of people very scared. A lot of communities aren't planting ash trees anymore and not recommending homeowners to, because of emerald ash borer, which is an insect that bores in and eats the cambium, or the vascular, almost like the blood system of the tree. It consumes that, and the tree then dies. Time will tell how they do in the woods. It's not looking all that good at the moment as to what's going to happen with them. But you'll see lots of ash in the woods of southwest Virginia and up and down all eastern U.S.